Dude, you've got the sideways camera, and I was using the webcam, and now I've graduated to the sideways cam. You know, I realize it's cool to be asymmetric. You want to be a little off angle. Totally centered is like it's too straight. It's too.
It is a little weird whenever you're staring right at the camera. I
Yeah.
don't know. I've always struggled with camera angles. So like I think mine's just the way that it is because I have like if you saw my setup right now, you would laugh so hard because I've got like my main gaming monitor, my side monitor, and then above it in the worst looking way possible, I have one of those like 43-inch widescreen monitors. And so
Have
my
you
setup
posted a
just
picture? I feel like
yeah, I
I've
did like
seen it before.
yeah, I did like 2 weeks ago, and it just
Okay.
looks terrible. And like, I moved in with my girlfriend last year, and we live in a one-bedroom apartment, and my setup is in my living room. So you just walk in and see my
Yeah.
NASA space station.
Love it, dude. No, I mean, when I was in the esports days, when I was the CEO of Moonduck, I mean, we had this big house. That was our studio, and then we also lived in it. But when we would do events, it's like the living room is the set. So you open the front door, it's like, oh, hello.
Yep.
What's going on
Yeah.
in here? You know, if you didn't know, but one time we had somebody come over, and they're like, what, are you guys shooting some porn or something? It's like, okay,
Dude,
you're right. Leather couches, bright lights.
yeah.
Yeah, it does kind of look like we set up a scene where someone just moved right out of the kitchen, right onto the couch kind of deal. But no, I mean that's the vibe. I feel like not to start this off by stroking you too hard, but that can be the mark of a great content creator. That guy Sir Action Slacks, the crazy Dota guy, like his setup for so many years was just a potato on a desk that his grandmother left outside 50 years ago on a lawn chair. And like the first time I saw the setup, like how do you still have a back, dude? How does your body work? Like this looks so awful and uncomfortable. But it's not about the hardware, it's about the creative ideas, right? It's about the stuff that you put onto the canvas that really matters. Reminds me of like the skateboarders back in the day, all this talk about decks and trucks and the best wheels. Bro, if you can't do a kickflip, it doesn't really matter what brand of skateboard you have. You're not really skateboarding.
Yep. Now, whenever I went pro in Apex, it was on. Let's see if I can do this and make it look good. It was on one of these. Oh, Crosshair X, get off my. It was on one of these. I don't know if you see it,
Hell
but
yeah.
yeah, just one of these green chairs.
Dude, that's a very Puerto Rico vibe. I don't know if you saw the latest Bad Bunny album. The cover is just lawn chairs in front of trees because that's like the vibe in Puerto Rico, dude. Every family gathering, it's just like, all right, we got a cooler, we got some drinks, let's grill some shit and sit outside. And that's
Dude,
the
I need to go back. I can't wait.
Yeah, dude. No, it'd be awesome. You got any gigs coming up? You going to ETH Denver or got anything cool IRL?
I would love to go to ETH Denver, especially since it's so close to my like actual home. But I am going to Parallel Prime's Vegas World Championship. They have a $500,000 World Championship that is, yeah, huge tournament at the end of this month. And there's also like some AVAX related stuff. I'm going to do with like Off the Grid's having a tournament at the Luxor. So is Shatterline, and both of
Ooh.
those are shooter games. So they're pretty small tournaments. It's just like more of a show match for fun type of thing. And Parallel's like the main event,
Are
but
those
it
going to
should be a really
be
good time.
in the HyperX arena there?
Yep,
Yeah,
at the
okay.
Luxor. Yep.
That's the classic, dude. It's so funny. I remember when that space got created because esports 2.0 or whatever pre-blockchain was bustling, and that place is like pretty expensive. You know, Vegas is not a cheap place to run an operation like that, but obviously the potential capital is fantastic, and they have really executed a great business model of just plug and play. We have all the production shit. We got the full setup. We can scale it down. We can scale it up. You can throw parties there. You can throw tournaments there. You can do award shows there. It's a really cool, versatile little venue, and it's a shame that what was that big Axie attempted conference? Was it Axie Air?
Oh, yeah, it was Air. Yeah,
That one was
I
also in
remember.
the HyperX arena. So it's a shame that it was underutilized in that capacity, but it was kind of cool to see what happens. Where like you really can just rent it out and throw a party in there.
Yeah, I mean, out of all the events that I've been to, that's the one I've been to the most. I've been there like 3 or 4 times at this point. But yeah, it's a great one.
Really.
I think
Wow.
after Vegas, it's GDC in San Francisco. And hot take, but I hate San Francisco. It's like,
What are you doing at GDC? I'm almost more curious there because the last couple times I've gone, it felt kind of like an expensive waste of time.
oh, like I look, GDC is like my least favorite event of the year. And it's just because I hate San Francisco. Like I get motion sickness in Ubers and cars, and like in San Francisco, you got to take a 40-minute Uber, stop and go traffic,
Oh.
like anywhere you go. But GDC last year I went because the WolvesDAO hosts a thing called the Wolves Den, which is basically like this
Hmm.
house that they rent out that everyone from like Web3 when they go to GDC they all meet up at the Wolves Den and do like networking. And last year's was crazy. Like it was like 4 straight days
I
of just like
remember.
yeah, the house was just packed full.
Was
And
Shrapnel the big jam? That was
Shrapnel
yeah,
was at the time that was the main sponsor and the big deal at that point. That was like right whenever
yeah.
Shrapnel was doing their first play test and coming out. And now how times have changed.
Totally. No, I mean that's blockchain gaming for you. But no, I went with JD Hyper. We stopped by for an evening. I think that backyard thing. I saw Sinjin and some others speak and
Mhm.
kind of pitch, and it was interesting. I still haven't joined WolvesDAO, and every time I go to a WolvesDAO event, multiple people that are part of WolvesDAO are like, "Dude, how come you haven't joined yet? You're such a perfect fit." And then I think about it and I go, "I'm gonna do it." And then I go home and think, what am I gonna provide to these guys? I'm useless. I don't want to do gaming nights. You
Wolves
know?
is really interesting. I mean, I don't participate a lot in the Discord as much as I probably should, but I know there is a lot of really useful information there.
Mm,
But I am pretty active in their Telegram and just like uh, really good friends with a lot of the guys that are creators
right.
that have all like conglomerated there. And yeah, I think overall it's just more of like a nice community of just like talking about the goings ons of like what's happening in Web3 at the time. And like
Yeah.
they have a lot of cool things like they do a question of the day like every day and it always sparks this like 800 message
Hmm.
thing of just like, everyone talking about that. And it was really interesting. And there's just like a lot of really great minds and active people there. So I've been good friends with a lot of people there and they're really good people and they've like helped
Yeah.
like when I need somebody to talk to, like that's where I go, is somebody in the Wolves.
Yeah, it's a very supportive crew, and they
Yeah.
every real life event that I've been to with the WolvesDAO folks, I'm like, damn, this is a solid event. You guys know
Great
how to put
people.
on a party and connect it all
Yeah.
together. So I also respect their model. Or if people that don't know, there's sort of a limited number of seats, and you have to
Yeah.
be active to maintain your seat. So I know multiple people that have joined WolvesDAO, were inactive, and then got kicked out, and
Yeah.
it's not
Yep.
personal. It's like their system is very much like you have to, if you want to be here, you got to be here, you got to contribute. This isn't like a park it, this isn't a buy the NFT and then sit here and watch it go
Yeah.
up. Like we're talking soulbound NFTs, we're talking real community building. I think there's something to that, there
I do
it's
too. I think it's always interesting just seeing the differences and like I don't know. You know how you like go to some communities and they're just like pretty inactive after people do
yeah,
the initial whatever. And like this is a thing where like, it's like you said, you kind of have to want to be there.
right.
And which is nice.
Right. Well, and I think what this conversation has led me to conclude is that you're starting to experience the opportunity cost of being an ambassador for basically every premier gaming blockchain that exists. Which, congrats, by the way. It's awesome that
Thank
you've
you.
got like every premier logo on your Twitter bio, and I'm sure
Got
each
the
one of those comes with a nice little
Infinity
paycheck.
Gauntlet. I
Yeah,
got the
dude.
Infinity. No,
Exactly.
so I haven't actually ever really talked about this. But I'm like super proud of myself for the past year. And just like as much as Web3 gaming has struggled, it's so cool to me that I've partnered with Ronin, Avax, Immutable, and Zai. Like it's just like I'm missing one big one, which is Solana, but right now Solana's kind of going through it. So,
Yeah,
uh, but it's just I don't know. It's really cool to me, and I'm really proud of myself for that. And
you should
yeah,
be. No,
I'm
it's, I mean, not many
super good.
people have that same kind of collection of rings. You got to start a trophy case or go Cloud White style, start collecting the tattoos, really, really prove the conviction. Um,
I don't think I'll go that far, but
but there's only so many hours in the day, right? So the opportunity cost is, well, none of those folks are doing an event with me at ETH Denver. Hence, I gotta go work these other gigs, guys. Sorry. And like you literally can't be everywhere at once. You can't teleport. You
it's
gotta take time off. You gotta take time for the lady. So I wonder how you're balancing all of it right now. It's like more money, more problems, as the big man would
it,
say.
as Big would say, more money, more problems. Yeah, no, I'll be honest. Like I'm terrible at managing time in general. But
Do you
yeah,
have a PA
it's
yet? Do you have a gopher?
Uh, I have a couple of
Okay.
very great assistants. Shout out Harky and shout out Seth. Yeah. So I mean, like, with having a rather large guild has come a lot of people that are very willing to help out and do really good work. So seriously, shout out to my guild, Mark of the Zeal. It's like a bunch of great people. We just hit like 1,900 members today in the Discord, which is crazy.
Wow,
But
that's pretty good.
yeah, as far as managing time goes and how I'm balancing it, my girlfriend hates my lifestyle because I like I said earlier, I sleep maybe 6 hours a day. I wake up and I'm glued to my screen working on, and I have horrible ADHD, so I just have trouble focusing on just one task. So I'm all over the place doing stuff all the time. But yeah, between like playing games that are coming out, recording videos on them, um, like researching stuff and keeping myself in the know of everything, trading, working with my
Hmm.
guild, and then my job at YGG. It's just a lot every single day.
Right.
And so there isn't a lot of time to just like go out and experience the outside life of New York where I live. It's just like I don't know. I would love to go and explore the city more because I've always wanted to live here, and then getting to live here, it's like it's so cool every time I do go out in the city. But yeah,
Hmm.
I don't spend enough time outside, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, you got to strike while the iron's hot. That's one thing I've learned. You're having a moment, and you're not always going to necessarily have the same degree of moment that you're having
Yeah,
right now. I've seen so many people across gaming and esports peak and then kind of get complacent and act like, okay, I got 10K Twitter followers, I'm set. It's like, well,
yeah,
the bar keeps moving. You know, everyone else keeps
yep,
pushing, and the industry changes. And there's folks that were years ahead of me a decade ago, and now I kind of look at the resume difference. I'm like, man, I've done a lot more shit over the last 5 years than that person has, and
yeah.
you can see
That's
that some folks hit age 30 and just stop pushing. Man, it's just how it goes.
yeah, that's just something I never want to do. Like I definitely know like burnout is really, really common, and I have gone through it. I think that like during like the 2022 period that we experienced, that was just pure hell.
Yeah.
I definitely hit a point where I was just like, I'm over all of this, and I just want to play video games, and like that's it.
Yeah.
And trying not to fall back into that. And yeah, just always keep pushing. Like I don't know, the space has just adapted so much over the years, and like
Yeah.
it's crazy to think that like I'm about to be in my fourth year in Web3 gaming and
I
crypto
hear
in
that.
general.
I hear that.
And yeah, and I just want to just make sure that like yeah, I mean like this has been a really good year with like all of the off the grid success and a lot of the other stuff that's gone on with just getting my name out there more and getting connected. And I definitely just want to make sure that like I don't slow down at all. Really
Right.
want to grow our YouTube channel. It's really hard in the space that we're in, but
It
like
is.
that's my 2025 goal is really
Yeah.
grow YouTube.
Isn't it funny how a lot of the like we come full circle, dude. A lot of the classic stuff that everyone thought was going to be left behind has come back in vogue. Like email list, the Axie newsletter, one of their like most valuable things that they have to continue driving this marketing. Like over time, that was actually a huge competitive advantage. I saw this thing about PC gaming recently that most game devs, like 80% of game devs now, are building for PC first. And I can't
Oh
help
wow.
but think like, sorry console folks, but PC gamers did win the war on that one. It's just more adaptable, you know, more customizable, wider audience, all that kind of stuff.
Like
Everybody has a
console,
computer.
PC, mobile, like
Yeah. Everybody
yeah.
has a phone. Most people have a computer. Not everybody has a console. And now it's funny that consoles are becoming like a specialized piece of gaming hardware. But it does kind of go full circle, like podcasting. Right? I think people thought that there was going to be this ceiling to podcasting, and it seems like the ceiling is pretty freaking high / nearly infinite, and just becoming close to one with broadcast media. We all saw what happened with the last American election and the Joe Rogan
Yeah,
podcast, and that is
crazy.
no matter how you feel about Trump or Joe Rogan, you have to marvel at the framework of the fact that a podcast had a hand in swinging a major, serious, controversial presidential election. It speaks to the medium that we're building on here, and that I don't think we've peaked yet in terms of that kind of broadcast potential.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, you know, I've listened to so many podcasts over the years, and I love the format. And I think that, like, you know,
Yeah.
there is an appetite for people to just listen to unfiltered, just conversation that feels real and not manufactured.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, one of the aspects of what you do, man, that I maybe you can coach me a little bit here, but I'm a pretty cynical cunt, and I can't
Okay.
help but just see everything through the lens of I assume it's crap until you convince me it's not. And that's like kept me very safe and has certainly helped my career. But it's made it hard for me to create content because I look back, I'm like, Dad, I just shit on everything. I go into Twitter Spaces and have to like declare, listen, disclaimer, I hate everything. All right. So it's not personal about this product. Like I hate 99% of shit.
Yeah.
I like this I'm very picky about the things that I actually think are cool and useful and good. And
Yeah.
I can't tell if I'm just a curmudgeon or like, how do you maintain being an ambassador for such a vast suite of products and maintain this sort of, what is it, like business neutral type mentality where everyone's a potential customer. So you've got to weigh this, like, obviously you don't want to shill horrible games or crap or things you don't believe in, but even stuff that you believe in. Like overall, I like Axie and Ronin. They've done a lot of stuff I disagree with, right? So how do you balance maintaining your own voice and not letting people editorialize Kyroh while also being like, hey, I kind of get paid to endorse people's shit, and marketing is marketing. You know, there's no such thing as altruism in the game of marketing, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely agree. There is no such thing as altruism in the game of marketing. Yeah, I think this is something that I've had to grow a lot since I joined Web3 gaming and gotten more of a platform. Because whenever I joined, I was about as much of a gamer as you could get. Like I was the guy that would just tell you straight up that your product is shit. I don't care what you think. Like you're never gonna compete with the rest of the space, whatever. But I've had to just grow up a lot and kind of take things for what they are and not put like my future expectations on the now, because there is just a lot of building to be done for a lot of these things to become the products that I like envision them to be one day. And you have to let people pave the way for the products that will make you really excited, and you have to give the teams time to build. And coming from just a like I was in the heart of like competitive gaming, and so like I was playing the AAA games at like the highest point that you could play them, and nitpicking everything on them all the time. Like if there was a new balance patch and something was just slightly broken that the average person would never be able to see, I would be like, this shit's breaking the game. And like eventually you just kind of have to realize that like like the meta is the meta, and like that, like you have to be okay with something not being perfect, and still be able to find the fun in it. And that's where I fall in with a lot of this stuff, in terms of like just Web3 gaming. I think we all know that like a lot of the games aren't where we all want them to be. A lot of the games are in an early state to where you can't get a full experience out of a lot of them. And I just try to highlight the things that I really like about each one that I play.
Right. Like there's always something negative that you could latch onto if you want to, because we're in a bleeding edge, innovative space. And I think I definitely have a tendency to see where things can fail. And that's like a great strength in a business scenario until I get overwhelmed by it. And once I start to see too many negative vectors, I have this like, oh shit, the project's fucked. Now what do we do? Yeah. And that panic leads you into really weird places. I mean, I definitely experienced that with crypto unicorns, where when I left Sky Mavis and I joined the crypto unicorns team, I knew that product had a lot of problems. Like their game sucked. And that's why they had a job for me. It was like, hey, we really need help with like this. Yeah. We're all over the place. Our community hates us. We don't know how to curate the feedback. Like there are all these issues. So I knew, okay, this is going to be hard. There's a chance that it fails, but I'm going to be able to learn a lot here. And if it succeeds, well, shit, obviously there's a huge potential carrot at the end of, getting token allocations and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, it didn't work out with crypto unicorns for a lot of reasons, but then I experienced it again as that same company tried to pivot into a new IP, and when it came to the mint, it failed miserably, and then the company basically folded the next day. It was like, all right, we didn't mint. We're not going to be able to get the next unlock for our investment contract. We're out of money. See ya. Everyone's done. And it was like, just holy shit. It just ended that fast. Like, and I knew we were at the final, hey, this either works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, we're out of ideas. We're out of steam. The team's demotivated. So it wasn't like a huge surprise. We were prepared for it. But it's just wild how you go from, I'm selling this thing with full conviction to people, to 3 days later, like, okay, never mind. It's just being deleted from the internet. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And I walked away. I had to like go through all the DMs I sent and apologize to people and be like, hey man, I'm really sorry that I shilled you that. I feel shitty about it. And don't worry, everything's been refunded. It's fine. It's just, I had to take a few weeks to kind of just dust off the, I don't know, the not scar tissue, just the like the dirt, the mud that I accumulated from crawling around in the trenches. You know, it is like kind of embarrassing to like
Well, I think
fail a mint and flop around, you know?
I think we're all just trying to find the thing that works here and that like where we can fit in and help out. And like I think at the end of the day, you know, you could find something wrong with heaven if you wanted to.
Right.
And you know, we tend to be on the extreme spectrums of both sides of like what we're talking about, where you're finding the part that is good that you believe in that you want to latch onto, or you're finding the part that is bad that you think could make the whole thing fail. And like it's just it's a game of extremes, and finding the middle ground there is hard, and keeping like a level head across everything. And I don't know, it's just it's a weird space to navigate in, especially like when you want something to succeed. Like it's just hard.
Totally, when you're emotionally invested in the success. But isn't that kind of like the human condition in a nutshell? Like living in a static space of stability sounds miserable. It's actually the swings of good and bad and trying to kind of maintain the mean, but swinging back and forth. That actually seems to be the essence of the human spirit, if I had to distill it down to one kind of sine wave. So in some ways, I think you're right. It's like about embracing the chaos and just trying to do your best to catch yourself when you're touching the extremes on either side. And just remember, we're fighting the good fight, and we got to find balance in all things. And I wonder like how you're feeling about gaming DAOs right now. We obviously had this era where Axie kicked it off, and then everyone tried to copy that model. A boatload of these DAOs that were gaming guilds and communities have essentially shut down just due to inactivity and lack of business model and token prices falling and just general lack of motivation. And I've ebbed back and forth because I do really see the value of these decentralized systems if they can be executed correctly. It feels like a worthy and noble cause to innovate on, but so far the manifestations have been pretty brutal. And I say that as somebody that operated the Crypto Unicorns DAO for 2 years that's still running, even though the company's down, and one of the community members has the treasury now. And it's been a really interesting live DAO experiment. And my takeaway is, I'm curious if you agree with this analogy, that DAOs almost feel like public infrastructure in a weird way, where you're trying to create this framework where the system lives on regardless of which humans are slotted in, right? You should be able to slot in any responsible community members in the key roles. And in theory, if the DAO is structured correctly, it should still operate. And to me, that sounds very similar to like the Senate or the House of Representatives or something, where people come in, the system is bigger than all of the people. Yes, the system's inefficient, but it's worth the trade-off because there's certain like public goods that like we all just want the fucking roads to work, and we need humans to facilitate the transactional nature of building things from a public lens. I feel like DAOs are that, but they're just like the private kind of token fair launch version of it. You know, like it's weird to think of DAOs as a central in comparison to a centralized government entity, but I feel like the framework actually has a lot of commonalities.
Yeah, I think we're all just trying to build the foundation for something that will turn into something much bigger, or bring to fruition the things that we originally believed in whenever we came into the space.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean it's really interesting just seeing how much the space has changed from like really caring about governance and things like that, and to realizing like how much of a lift that kind of thing actually is. And yeah, I think you know, for me it's always just been really a focus just on like gaming first, and then the rest that has come with that I've learned about all of this stuff in this space has been a secondary. And so at the end of the day, I try not to take everything else too serious, and just
I like that. Very gamer first headspace. Yeah.
yeah, and because like at the end of the day, like that's where I'm spending my time, is playing games. Like I still want to find games that have the technology that has pushed the space forward, implemented, that are fun enough to compete with all the titans that are around today. I mean, like, you know, the question is always like, will this game take my time away from Call of Duty, League of Legends, Dota, whatever it is?
Right.
And like, if it's not, then like you, at the end of the day, there's something that's not up to par. I think like the combination of, whether it's tokenomics, ownership, and then just fun of the game, like each one of those things can make up for part of the other that is not so good or not as
Mhm.
developed. And yeah, it's just it's a struggle seeing everybody build in different paths and try to figure it all out. And it's just everyone's wading through the ocean without a map. And
Yeah, the dark forest.
yeah, it's
I mean,
been
I think it's worked for you because of that mentality, though. Like when people ask me why do you like Kyroh so much compared to all these other KOLs? I've mentioned you a few times on Twitter Spaces to folks that aren't as plugged into Ronin, and it always goes back to the fact that you actually play games and win tournaments and develop strategies that are useful, right? Like I don't know, what do you call your land scholarship group like that? That's not
yeah,
just another guild. You're like the number one shepherd of basically beating the Axie land game. So there's
yeah,
a difference in just showing up and bull posting about a product and like coming in and building a strategy that wins at the product. And that's something I think a lot of folks don't get. Like they read about esports and they kind of get it from a very topical sense, but they don't understand that nuanced difference between real competitors that come in to win and really dominate and have by proxy of that, a much deeper understanding than the folks that are like, I get that this is cool. I'm going to bull post about it, but that's much more topical than the kind of deep dive that you've done in a lot of the games that you've made content for.
I appreciate you noticing that. I think, for me, it's just like I'm in love with the game within the game, which is, like you said, whenever you find something that you can see an edge that you can realize, like you want to do everything you can to create a way to realize that edge. And I think for me, um, mixing just like the esports history that I have and learning how to get good and learning how to practice at something has benefited me in a lot of ways. And then, as well as I just have ambitions to create something bigger than myself, as well as something that will create longevity and sustainability for me. And so, with the land thing specifically, it all started because I just wanted to get number one on the leaderboard in that game. And that turned into me making a like not even a like a Discord like channel, but like just a Discord like message group with like 10 other people. It was like the max you could have in one group. And we were just chatting about like the ways to like, min max and get number one on the leaderboard for the very first season of it. And then that turned into people seeing how good we were doing and wanted to join. And so we had to make a Discord. And then it was just literally no profile picture, like no name. And it just kept growing, kept growing. And then eventually, I realized that like there were all of these assets that were out there that all these whales owned and nobody wanted to play them. And everyone was just getting free staking rewards at the time. And
Yeah.
then Axie decided to change it from passive staking to active gameplay rewards. I'm like, I know these guys aren't going to have the time to play or have the time to figure out how to get somebody to play for them. And I know all of the best players in the game. So I'm just going to get everybody together and we're going to divide this up and figure it out. And that's turned into now we have a guild of, like I said, like 1,900 members, over 3,000 land plots in Axie, which is like almost a third of all total land in the game. um a very like probably the most profitable guild in all of web3. um
That's so badass because it's the way you describe it. It's so organic. It's like, okay,
was
I was just the right person. I can see this connection that no one else is seeing right now, and you just assemble the pieces, and the money's there, dude. Like that's such a
yeah.
sick story. I love it. I'm
And
jealous. I'm legit jealous, man.
it's like I'm super proud of the guild because it's turned into something much bigger than what it originally was or was intended to be, and it just has kept growing. And like it's like I think somebody was message like one of my admins was like, some of you guys have been playing this game for like 2 years now. I'm like, really? It's been 2 years? Like, holy shit! Like,
Wow.
it's outlived like the length I thought this was gonna go by a
For
long
sure.
shot. And it's turned into like, we made enough revenue to create a validator on Ronin. And so now we have another means of sustainability there. And like we're able to hire like
Hmm.
a larger uh portion of a team. And
Yeah.
those rewards pay for that. And we're able to expand into other games now and buy assets in other games to expand into them. And do delegation services for other games and other ecosystems, and as well as like we just had a mint for our founders coins, which is largely taken off of the idea of the YGG founders coin.
Hmm.
And it was extremely successful. And we've already given out like so many rewards that like I'm like holy shit, maybe I need to slow down a little bit because like we're giving away a lot at this point. But for like the first month.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall it's just like it's turned into something really great. And yeah, every day I'm in there chatting with all
That's
of the guild
awesome.
members, and it's just awesome to see the activity.
Yeah, maintain that as long as you can, man. It's so hard to get that like ongoing attention, and you've definitely found that spark. So keep it up, dude. It's really cool. And I just want to highlight something you mentioned. There's a book that I highly recommend called The Art of Learning.
Hmm.
If you've ever seen that movie from the '90s, Searching for Bobby Fischer, it's about a kid who's really good at chess. It's in the era when
Hmm.
Bobby Fischer was still missing and kind of disappeared, and it's about this kid who's on the path to become a chess master. It's based on a real person. I think his name's Josh Watkins. And in real life, he went on to write this book that was like, I played chess as a kid. Once I got to the point where it's like, I've kind of become a grandmaster, it's boring. I realized that really the skill of learning is what allowed me to be so good at chess. It's less about that specific variable and more about this framework of learning how to learn, which is not that complicated of an idea, but it's pretty meta. And you talk to somebody on the street about that, and most people go, "Oh, I never really thought about it like that before." It's like, yeah, if you become really good at learning, then you can absorb a lot of information really quickly. Imagine being able to just read a textbook one time, cover to cover, and digest all of it. That would be such a sweet skill to
Yeah,
have. And it's sort of about that, how to develop a framework for yourself so you can learn more efficiently. And I
it's
think
it's
that's
a
what you're talking about.
yeah, no, it's a skill that can't be understated. I mean, like for video games specifically, I just proved it time and time again every year whenever a new Call of Duty would come out. And basically, you obviously skills transfer, but you pick up a brand new game,
Hmm.
or and it's not just Call of Duty, but any new game that I pick up, like there is a methodical way that you go about learning how to become good at a game,
Yes.
and that is like something that can be translated to outside of video games. And like, man, if I would have known about that earlier or been able to dedicate myself to that kind of thing,
Hmm.
uh, with much more focus, I just would be, in my opinion, I'd be so much further along than where I am.
Definitely. Now, the first time I saw that, like, and really digested it in person was when I was at Beyond the Summit, and we were doing those Summit Dota tournaments where it's like
Mm.
in the house and the players, the casters, and it's very intimate. And one of the side content pieces we had set up was like Steam mini games, and we had a bunch of the pro Dota players play these Steam mini games, and most of them had never really played them before. And seeing how quickly some of the pro players could go from game one, I don't know the controls, game two, okay, I'm getting it, game three, I'm killing somebody, game four, you literally can't
God
beat him.
mode.
And it's
Yeah.
just like, dude, in like 15 minutes, you just became S tier at this game.
Yep.
I've been playing it for 5 hours and I'm still falling off the ledge. It's just insane how fast some people can pick things up. And with these really complex esports, people underestimate how much of staying a top competitor is that hyper learning state, because patches come
Yeah.
out regularly. And even when big patches come out, it takes a while for the meta to get cracked. It's changing
Yep.
constantly. I mean, that was a thing with still is a thing with competitive Axie, right? Like the meta shifts relatively quickly as new things happen and people start to react to that. Then the pool gets overpopulated here. Then there's a supply crunch in this part, and it ebbs and flows in a very dynamic way, and that's part of what keeps the whole thing so damn exciting and
Yeah.
worth playing.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. What you described is basically what I was talking about, and
Yeah.
that's like just it's something that like I feel like gamers know it when they're doing it, or maybe they don't know that they're doing it, but like they
It's
know the
intuitive
process,
to
like what
them.
it feels like. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
like if they could like really like figure that out outside of just gaming, it just improves your life tenfold.
For sure. And I think that's why I've seen a disproportionate number of folks that were very good at gaming or were sort of like semi-pro, and they retire and either get into software development or working out or both, because both of
Yeah.
those are things where you can very steadily and methodically level up your skills and get to this point where it's very useful, right? You feel good, you're healthy, and obviously programming is a useful skill. Dude, how you feeling about GTA 6? Are you on the bandwagon? Are you cynical? I'm very curious if you're a GTA guy. And I've heard a lot of theses recently that the gold rush for blockchain gaming will come when GTA 6 drops later this year and they implement some form of blockchain element so we can all rally around the millions and billions of people and dollars that will transact in that economy. Are you in on this thesis, or is this wishful thinking?
think it's a little bit of wishful thinking. I think that it would be crazy if it happened because our industry would be completely disrupted because a giant would be adopting uh, blockchain, which would then in turn push the domino over for all the other giants to adopt it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody here would be kind of dwarfed by the growth that would happen, which would be very interesting to see. Um, do I think it will happen? If I was placing prediction bets, it wouldn't be very likely.
We
I
need
do
a
think it would be
forecast
cool.
on this.
Yeah, there you go. I think it would be cool. I think it would be more than cool. I think it would be fucking sick.
So
But
I guess is your kind of general prediction that GTA will come out sometime this year, in Q3, Q4, whatever, but it just won't have any blockchain elements. That it'll just be a great GTA 6 game, and that's all. Is that
I don't know why they would. If somebody could, red pill me on why they would. Is it red pill or blue pill? I never know.
I think
But
it's red pill. I
red
think
pill.
red
Okay.
pill is
Okay.
to get you
Oh,
in.
you escaped the matrix. All right, yeah. If someone could red pill me as to why they should, then I would be interested. But I just like they already have the most profitable like series in gaming ever. So like why change anything? It would be cool. I do think it'll probably come out later this year. It will be obviously the biggest game for the next however many years. I don't know. Like I played a lot of GTA 5 whenever it came out
Mhm.
and the years after, and I did think that GTA RP was like one of the coolest things. Like it was some of the funniest content that you
I
could
agree.
watch.
It's like
Like
a
the
digital
clips,
reality show. I
yeah,
mean,
the clips that you could watch and highlights. Like even if they weren't like a big creator, just random ass people on GTA RP. It's just hilarious.
yeah.
So I'm assuming it's more so going to be like GTA RP is going to be implemented into like the regular game and multiplayer versus it being like 5M and like a mod or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it'll necessarily be blockchain. I think people might try to do like blockchain integrated servers or something, even though it breaks
So
TOS.
So that
But
was going to be my next question of what if there's a layer built on top in multiple different ways it could manifest. One, somebody could do some sort of skin thing that's like you use NFTs and they're represented on a private server. You
yeah,
could do these kind of play to earn style servers where you're earning, the in-game currency and then that somehow translates to a token. And you could probably do that where it's still a violation of TOS, I'm sure, if Rockstar really hated it, but in such a way that it's a bit segregated where you have to go onto a site and link it and it's
mhm,
not integrated into the game, but there's a path to connect all of it. I also wonder if there's a world where people will create like the same way we've seen tokens for agents and virtuals, some sort of equivalent for that in GTA, where I don't know that it'll be agents, but like GTA RP characters represented as tokens, because meme coins are basically just mind share and attention, and
yeah.
really great RP characters that is mind share and attention in one of the biggest platforms in gaming. So I feel like even if it's not connected to the game, what stops me, a creator, from making the, fart Zyori coin because I'm the fart master inside of GTA and a million people want to come transact with me in the server? That sounds like great marketing for a meme coin. So I think that even if Rockstar chooses not to add blockchain, because I think you're right, they don't need it. There's not much of an incentive. It's like maybe Valve's going to turn the Steam marketplace into a blockchain. It's like, why? It basically is already, and it's just highly centralized and much more efficient. There's just no
They
incentive
gotta
for them
control
to
it.
do that.
Yeah.
But I think there is a really big incentive for the communities to find creative ways to connect the ethos of play to earn and this new game that's like, I think, guaranteed to have an insane amount of momentum behind it. I don't really see any world where GTA 6 flops.
Oh no, it
Um,
won't. I mean, I think every GTA has kind of like shifted gaming forward in certain
yeah.
ways.
Oh,
And
100%. I was watching clips of San Andreas the other night on on YouTube, where like all the little things to like get the boat and like there was so much depth to that game, and the music was a bit of a meme. But when you go back and watch clips, it's like no one was putting that level of effort into sound engineering in gaming at that time. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say no one, but nobody on that scale for AAA. You're absolutely right. Like GTA didn't just become this franchise because it's fun to shoot people in games and because it's fun to role play violent stuff. It's because they've actually pushed the envelope. There's this great video showing how if you throw a grenade in water, how the animations have improved, and like from every single GTA that's gotten more from like this makes no sense to, oh wow, look, the water looks like a big fountain that's exploding and now people can get stuck in it. And it's these little things and that attention to detail that add up to make this experience that is like worthy of that level of a time and character investment to RP, right? Like the platform has to be good enough to make it even worth the time for people to take it that seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it's the metaverse. Or at least like, as good as.
Is this going to be the actual metaverse that we were promised in 2021? It's just going to come out in 2025 and be Grand Theft Auto. The metaverse is about stealing stuff and selling drugs and hanging out with prostitutes. Is that we were too optimistic about its manifestation? Was that our problem?
I think that like we didn't really kind of expect all the AI stuff back then, and I've played like 2 different games that have like AI NPCs that like you can voice chat with, and it will spit out like GPT like responses to you in the character voices. And that shit is mind blowing to me because like I was a huge RPG fan. Like played a lot of like Oblivion, Skyrim, Morrowind, like things like that, Fallout, all of that stuff. And I was extremely addicted to those games and put way too many hours into them and was already like very immersed in the stories. But when you're talking to a character with your voice just on your mic like this, and then they're talking back to you, that is a surreal feeling. And like the closer we get to that kind of stuff being normal and just, innovations like that in AAA games, like we're just moving into a different time period with gaming. And like we need to, because I mean gaming's just been kind of like struggling for like a while.
No, I totally agree. And I think when people ask me like, what is AI just a fad? It's like everything else, probably 90 or 80% of the crap that you see people tweeting about is pretty fad-like. A lot of these GPT wrappers are nothing interesting. And having a GPT just regurgitate something that you typed into its knowledge base also isn't really that interesting. But I think for generative game design, like you're talking about, it's so fascinating. I use the example often of think Diablo, right? Part of the fun of games like Diablo is that you can play the same level over and over because the map is generative. It's a little bit different every time. There's different twists and turns and chess positions. Imagine that on steroids. Imagine that like 10x, where the game experience is more generative, where every time you play through Morrowind, it's a completely unique experience because it's reacting to all these different, like butterfly effect of all the early decisions that you're making. And as you're talking about these immersive characters that you meet along the way, it's almost scary. I'm starting to wonder why I need my real life friends if that's the reality we're living in, It's
like those like shows that's like an apocalypse where only like one person survives, and that one person like starts going crazy and like talking to himself or characters they make up in their head. Like that will be in a game. And
totally.
I don't know. It's really, really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Where the trajectory that we're on with all of this
new
stuff.
Era is the right word for it, because I go back and forth between will it be good, will it be bad? Like most tech, it's probably going to come with both, where there's going to be people that go way too far with it. There's going to be people that totally fade it and don't take it seriously, and everything in between. So I am optimistic that AI will have a future, and I can't stop thinking about something that when I was at eFanFest last year, the year before, I was listening to this panel, and they were talking about how loneliness is a global epidemic right now, that self-reporting just across all these surveys, across all these cultures, that people are more lonely than ever before. And that seems really strange because we have more tools to be interconnected than ever before. So it leads me to believe that there's something to this, like what we're doing right now, this is like 80% of a human interaction, where we get most of it, but there's something missing where like when we shake hands or hug, or
we're
just
not
like
outside.
Putting my arm on your shoulder to say hello, like all those little like kind of micro things add up to stop
human
us from
experience.
feeling
Yeah.
overwhelmed by loneliness. So I don't know that the metaverse is that perfect solution or whatever, but I understand why there's a gap there and that games can probably continue playing a role in filling that. So that's what I think of with a lot of this AI stuff. Like, it sounds silly of like, how many people really want to like talk to an AI as their best friend? It's like,
Not a
the
lot.
sad answer to that question is it's going to be a lot more than you think. I think
Yeah.
it will become millions of people as the AIs get smarter. Even my girlfriend the other day, she was finally chatting with GPT, and she's like, it remembered something. It just asked me a question. Like, she made that face
Oh,
like,
it's crazy.
my friend just remembered my birthday. I'm like,
Yeah.
now you're starting to get it. It's a little bit scary because you know it's fake, but you still get those moments where you're like, that for half a second, you convinced me that I was talking to a real human. You know, it's a short
And
illusion, but it's there.
we're only a few years off, I think. Like maybe longer than I think, but I don't know. I just think that yeah, with how fast AI has already been developing in the last couple of years, and just like the way that it feels to talk to it, and yeah, I think that we're getting closer and closer to the sci-fi movies,
Yeah.
and I think that like people just don't go outside as much as they used to anymore, and we're all obviously all searching for that cure to the loneliness, or just some kind of human interaction, or just interaction in general. And AI is getting better and better, and there's so many like sci-fi movies out there, just like some like Cortana type thing that's like your personal assistant or whatever, that you're talking to like a real person every day, and like they
Mhm.
remember all your stuff. I would love something like that, honestly. I think it would be a
So are you
pretty
training any
great.
agents? Are you playing around with Eliza or
uh,
anything? No?
I think it's cool. I just haven't, I don't really like have the time to like tinker around with
Yeah.
things. I do think that it's like I'm curious and I'm interested because like at the start, like I've always really loved like ChatGPT and things like that. Like I think like the power of AI is going to absolutely 100% change our lives, and within our lifetimes, like we're gonna see the whole world change because of it.
Hmm.
Um, but the whole agent stuff, I just like I don't know. Like obviously, this being my job to be a creator in the space, like it is a little jarring seeing like the dead internet theory like basically come to life right in front of me.
It's real.
And
It's so real.
yeah, it's definitely real. And it's just like I want to preserve like my job and also just like being real as long as I can.
I
So
respect that. I
that's
had a similar thought when virtuals was popping off because I'm always thinking, like, I've always wanted to have my own token and my own NFT collection. You know, I sold my dreads in the 2021 cycle
yep,
and it was
remember.
kind of half successful. I sold enough that I could say it was successful, but what I really wanted to do was build this community that was interested in like kind of buying free consulting from me through the dreads, and that didn't really pan out the way I envisioned. And I've always known that selling NFTs and tokens is hard, so I didn't want to just do it. And that was where Tama Mart became this golden opportunity where Cloud White convinced me, like, bro, if there was ever a platform and a time, this is it. Like, either do it or don't, but this is your moment if you're going to do it. So, and I'm glad that I did. And I felt very similar to you of, I don't want to contribute to this dead internet theory. And then I I don't know. I guess Laguna Games went under, and I had this like, you know what? Fuck it. If you can't beat them, join them, and just kind of, what the hell else am I gonna do? And also being genuinely intrigued by it.
Yeah, no, I think it is very interesting in general. Like
Yeah.
I do think that the AI, like I folded after seeing how much virtuals took off. Like I originally was like,
Did you buy any? Did you?
yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I got wrecked too. After being way up. Like I was so up that I started to drink the Kool-Aid and was like, I'm not selling. This shit's actually going to like make me a lot of money. And then I round tripped everything.
Yeah.
And
Trying to
uh
avoid those as much as I can these days. It's hard
yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
because I
Whenever
believe in this shit. I
yeah,
really
you get
do.
emotionally invested and you just
Yeah.
don't want to sell. And it's hard. It's really hard. Especially like I don't know. For me, I hadn't had a lot of wins in Web3 and crypto. In terms of like monetary stuff that wasn't just like through my own like I don't know, just like trading stuff. And
Hmm.
so like whenever I finally did make a successful trade, I was just like, like this shit's like we're finally gonna have like good like market shit with Trump becoming president and just macro conditions are getting better, blah 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 blah. And then everything's just chop, chop, chop forever. And it
Yeah.
is what it is. It's just yeah. But in terms of the AI stuff, though, I just thought it was interesting. And at first, like I really rejected it in terms of like the agents, because I just didn't want to see like agents coming in and like seeing AI XBT take over crypto Twitter and like become the number one like KOL or influencer on crypto Twitter for however many months it was or still is. I was just like, dude, like this thing's just like tweeting out slop, and as long as it's pumping somebody's bags or mentioning their
Hmm.
bags, then they're excited about it, and
That's yeah.
it's gonna
I
take all the
suck at
deals.
marketing,
Like,
dude. I can't do that level of shill. Like it does upset me to look
yeah,
at the market cap of F Zyori and some of the other ones where I'm like, dude, this thing is like literally useless and mine does so much more and nobody cares. And it's like,
it's just liquidity and attention. It's
yeah.
weird. Like, I don't
And a
think
lot
people.
of cabals too. That's
Yeah,
the other
yeah,
sad.
for sure. I just think that like for Ronin specifically, it's just like there's not enough like speculation or liquidity. Like what our
Yeah.
highest coin right now is like 8 mil, and like 8 mil is that is nothing. Like
I'm
like people are scared to buy an 8 mil token, and I'm just like, you guys don't realize that like this is
bro.
literally nothing. Like
100%. I'm glad you said it because I agree completely. I mean, I love the Moku guys. I love what Tama Mart has done. I wish Ronin.
63% of Ronin's liquidity was like the peak of the other day
That's
of like
insane.
63% of the volume,
I
not
just wish they
liquidity.
could have launched it sooner, you know, and I don't think that's on the Moku guys. Obviously, Ronin was permissioned, but we could have really, I think we had a chance to capture a lot more liquidity had we been able to deploy that a bit earlier and really be a part of the like come up of the meme cycle instead of what feels like almost maybe the peak or the plateau of the meme cycle. And I got slightly frustrated on Twitter last week, sort of highlighting that, guys, this is rough, man. Not being able to
Yeah.
hold 10 mil market cap on a coin. Like, there are shitters that are so shitty and unbelievably stupid on Solana, dropping at like, 5x that market cap
Yeah,
easy.
easily. Yeah.
Why can't our most premier one do that? Coco's been tweeting about it as well, and we should be realistic that it is holding back our ability to bring in new users. After Crypto Unicorns, the day that Tama Mart launched was the day before the Crypto Unicorns company Laguna Games went under. So I like that was a crazy day. I launched my token
Yeah.
and lost my job on the same day.
Oh my god.
Wild stuff, but. I was
Yeah.
expecting a lot more liquidity injection, and I went around to a lot of the crypto unicorns community that I had good ties with, and some of them did bridge a little bit of money, but a lot of them were like, doesn't look like there's much going on over there. Like, these numbers are pretty small, and as you said, they get scared. They're like, this is so micro cap. Like, even if it's not a rug, the foundation of it is so slow that it can unravel so quickly that they would just simply rather go where the TVL is. And I don't think we need memes for Ronin to be a premier gaming blockchain, but I do think people judge those vanity metrics for sure. Whether that's a good thing or not, whether that's fair or not is a different conversation, but it definitely matters. And in some of my circles that are not Ronin bulls, they bring that shit up like mega FUD, like, oh, let me know when you can break 10 million market cap there, Junior. And I don't have a great clapback. I would, tell me what the clapback is and I'll start saying it.
I mean, in my opinion, it's just there's a lot to that whole topic.
Yeah,
I have very strong opinions. And I also think that like Sky Mavis is and Ronin in general just needs to lean into some of this stuff. And I feel very strongly about that. Like I just think that like we're looking at an opportunity of while Solana is going through rough waters and AVAX is like capitalizing on it perfectly. I don't know how much you've seen of that, but like they've had a few pre-sales that have done incredible, and there
Liquidity's
are
moving.
yeah, and you see people that aren't paid bridging over to AVAX and talking about it on the timeline because that's where the volume is and that's where things are happening. And AVAX Foundation is buying into those coins, and it's causing people to be like, okay, like they're taking this seriously, like let's bridge over and see what's going on here. And then they start to learn more about the ecosystem, and then their liquidity stays. And now they turn into AVAX shows or believers. And I mean, I just think that like Ronin has so many closet believers that aren't wanting to like spend money on things because they're just waiting for things to like be a little bit more serious. And that's where I feel like just Sky Mavis and Ronin really needs to lean into some of this stuff and like show people that like, you can believe in Ronin and you're not gonna get like entirely burned, or like you can you can make money on Ronin or whatever. And like that's
Yeah.
where I feel like we're really missing that just like speculation type thing. I mean, you know, you see it with like the pre or not pre-sales, but the mints that are going on where there's a ton of demand for these gaming mints. People are I mean the Fableborn one had like 13 or no, sorry, like 16 million RON into the pre-sale for the guaranteed mints. And like
Yep. Fishing
that had
Frenzy did
people
well. Another recent one.
yeah, fishing for yeah, it was like a 6x or
Yep.
whatever
Yep.
after. And I mean, obviously that one's like a super small supply, but like
Still.
still, you can see the demand is definitely there for those NFTs. So like people are willing to spend money. They just need to like believe in whatever is being built. And
Yeah, I kind of wish that the Axie DAO could have been stood up a little bit faster. I mean, I'm trying to be as nice as possible. I wish it could have been stood up a lot faster, but there's a lot locked up in that treasury, and I feel like
yeah,
we've had that carrot dangled in front of us of like, look at all this money, you guys are gonna get to spend it soon, and it's like, we're kind of missing the moment to maybe inject a little bit of that capital liquidity into some key things. And like
yeah,
you said, that moment of people saying, hey, the AVAX Foundation believes in us. That's like a bat signal. You know, that's like a huge moment where you start getting, as you said, organic talking on the timeline. And there's nothing wrong with paying people to talk about the chain on the timeline. I think that's smart and good, but that is like the real gold in this industry, is that organic bull posting. And
yeah.
it's hard to tell sometimes because not everybody discloses #ad, but
I
that's the
believe
kind of
that
stuff
either.
that's the marker we're always looking for, right? Of like, oh shit, people are actually organically bullish on this. So,
Yeah, and I think that
um,
like people want to be bullish on Ronin. They just I don't know. They just aren't yet. Or like maybe they are, but like I said, it's like closet bullish, where they're like,
yeah.
yeah, the games are cool, or like they're doing some cool things, but like there's not like a lot of ways to like speculate and make money here yet. And
Yeah,
that's
I also think it's time that Ronin really start going a lot harder on the marketing budget for in-person booths at events. Like I want to see Ronin with a spot at ETH Denver. You know, like I want to see. They
I think
have
they are.
done. They're
I think they
starting
are.
to ramp it up for sure. I think it's time though to like do let's go big. You know, I think the
Yeah.
time has come to do RonCon. I still think it was a mistake to not do an AxieCon 2 pretty quickly after. I think if the question was budget, we absolutely could have made AxieCon 2 on the path to profitable. I always thought by AxieCon 3 it would be profitable, which is fairly normal / good for events of that scale. It just depends how much booth space you want to sell and how much of the stage you want to share with outside brands. But like monetizing that stuff isn't that hard if you're building it out on a yearly cadence and moving it around and stuff. And I just think the value that can be created from getting people in the same place and making it like doing these side events attached to other big events. We need to do more than just meetups at bars. I think it's time to go
Yeah.
big on like the booth shilling. And I know it's expensive and I know it's risky, but like we got to get the word out there. And it's reflected in the Ron price. There's a lot of other tokens that haven't gotten beat up nearly as bad as Ron or have gone up more than Ron. So I mean, this isn't just speculation or FUD. It's like it's in the numbers. So I think we're getting to the point where we've got some marketing bullets left. Let's fire off a couple rounds, dude. Give people like us more to rally around and stuff to get hyped about. You know, I've been telling everybody about the Cyberkongs party and the Forgotten Runes party. We're talking about the Ronin party. You know, I want to be shilling the Ronin booth to people everywhere I go. Anyway, sorry, that
Yeah,
was
no, I think
/ rant.
no, no, you're good. I think like they've done good at some and not as good at on others. And I think that like, you know, when you look at like Solana, they did really good at that kind of in-person stuff. They always went all out and were just throwing money around.
Yeah.
And you know, I agree with what you said, and I do wish that they would go harder. And you know, after going to the YGG summit in the Philippines this last year, like that was like the most gaming Web3 event that I've ever been to. It was literally
Mhm.
all gaming booths, all games on stage, whatever, whatever. And people came out in droves and it was packed.
Yep.
And there was cause like every day there was 100 new people doing different cosplays and they were like good cosplays and like it was like a real gaming event.
Mhm.
And that kind of stuff was
Well,
cool
and
to
it's
see. And I,
sick that there's a third party like YGG doing that, and I'm
yeah,
sure Ronin helps support it and that kind of stuff. But it's
yeah,
like we can do both. I think the mentality has
yeah,
been, well, it's way more efficient if we just support the third parties to do it. Yes, it is, but also there's probably, I think there's a compounding value in supporting that and also doing more of these big premier stuff, kind of like what AVAX and Solana have done. Do you think Solana's gonna, I mean, what's your like thesis / prediction on Solana? I missed out on a lot of money fading it for emotional, philosophical reasons. And then, you know, I looked around at a lot of the L3s that I was shilling. I'm like, this tech isn't really that different, actually. You look under the hood and it's kind of the same thing with a different logo on it to some degree. But I go back and forth on the meme coin meta and all this stuff. I'm kind of a freedom maxi in a lot of ways. So you know, if that's what people want to do with their money, you know, obviously cabals should be illegal, insider trading should be illegal. But I'm not inherently against meme coins, but I struggle to steelman against the statement that like Solana makes most of their money from scams. Like people that are like just straight rug pulling cabals, like all of these really shitty tokens that are alive for maybe even just a couple of hours. It's like, is this a sustainable, legitimate business model? I know the business model isn't we do meme coins, but that's kind of how it's manifested. And I just wonder, does this somehow pivot and sustain, or does this thing pop and become sort of like a remnant of the ICO era where we see Sol back down to, you know, $30 a token or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Sol had a crazy run up from the FTX lows.
Yes.
And I think that
super impressive.
It was. And I think that like they just did an incredible job at gaining mindshare, and it was through basically giving the market what it wants, which was just a way to
freedom.
Bet on attention. And I think that like, you know, we've been around the internet for a very long time, and memes have been around forever. They might not have been tokenized, but memes have been around forever, and the internet comes up with new memes to laugh at and talk about and share all the time. And now this is just the way of betting on, is this meme going to get attention, or is this new thing that's happening in the world something worth attention, and how long are you willing to bet that it's going to last? And obviously, you know, a lot of crazy shit has come as a result of the late stages of this, and like learning about this stuff and going through all of this. But I think that like Solana just did a good job of capturing that market, and it worked out really well for them. I definitely think that like it is blowing up in their face a little bit now, and how they come out of it after all of the like hoopla that's going on at the moment is going to be a defining moment for them. But I think that like, you know, betting on memes is like definitely here to stay, and like it might be like a lot of people look at it as like extractive or whatever. But I think that like there is not a better way to onboard a normal person into crypto. Like what got most people into crypto back in the day, it wasn't like Ethereum. Like you weren't just like going to your friends and being like, buy Ethereum or whatever. It was like buy Dogecoin or whatever, or buy Bitcoin or whatever it was. But like Dogecoin, like I knew about Dogecoin, and that's like for a very long time. I never like bought any of that shit, but like I knew about Dogecoin forever. And then I got into crypto and I realized like how kind of like Dogecoin's like kind of like over here versus like what this bubble is. And I don't know.
It's the outlandish stuff that first captures your attention, though. I mean, you're totally right.
Exactly.
The Dogecoin was the bat signal for you to go, whoa, what the fuck? And then once you looked under the hood, you went, oh, okay, this is actually the thing that's worth looking at. But it's still an onboarding vector. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, and that's where I think that it's just like, you know, people will come for the memes and they'll stay for the stuff that they really believe in or become passionate about. And I think that like
except for the Melania token. That one, I think people came for the memes and then they left pretty quick afterwards. That shit
I mean, in that process, people are 1000% going to get rude awakenings for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, that's just
I kind of when I had a moment of, you know, meme coins ruining the world, I reminded myself, sort of like you said, I've spent at least 500-600 hours playing Texas Hold'em poker online. Very much enjoy it. Not enough to be a pro player, but it's a fantastic game. It's taught me very much about risk assessment and personal discipline, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like Solana meme coins are the equivalent of playing poker just without cards and way faster, and instead you're just betting on pictures and mindshare. But it's a pretty similar framework in terms of risk assessment, like emotional management. It just moves more quickly, and there's less tangible numbers to do calculations on. Calculating the expected value is a little more abstract. But when I really tried to like step back and look at it from an unbiased sort of God's eye view, it's why is that any worse than playing poker or whatever? Now, again, insider trading and cabals are different. I'm not saying that those are okay.
Yeah, I mean,
think,
bundling tokens and like sniping shit, that is gonna launch whatever, and then
illegal
dumping on
activity is
everybody.
still illegal.
Like,
I'm
yeah,
talking
exactly.
about like fair launch
At its
tokens.
purest form,
yes,
it's like
yes.
in my opinion, it's just interesting because it's literally just like the same thing the internet's been doing forever, which is just like rotating attention and the attention economy, and this is just betting on the attention economy, which is something that like anybody can like kind of understand, which is like where I find it interesting because like this is like where you get the liquidity to come in from. It's like you find something that somebody relates with. Like you can find everybody likes memes. There's not a single person in the world that like can't find a meme that they wouldn't laugh at or whatever. Like somebody's got something they would laugh at, and like 100%. You get a bet on that now. And
yeah. Well, speaking of betting, Forecast Community Gaming building this prediction market. I know you're an ambassador there. It'll be on Ronin. I don't know if it's going to be on other chains, but I'm excited to have a prediction market on Ronin. Polymarket is very cool. I've used it. I know many other Ronin users that have used Polymarket. So I'm curious to see what kind of numbers it does. It's very similar to what you're talking about. And like we could even have like a forecast market. I mean, literally for will GTA 6 have an official crypto integration?
I think that will be probably a thing. I think, they had a kind of a rough TGE this morning, which sucks.
What happened? I actually kind of missed it.
Essentially, team and investors had their tokens locked up. And then they sent out some tokens, and then the site crashed, so people couldn't claim. And then people were claiming on Arbitrum or on ARB, and were like dumping.
They claimed on ARB and then ARB'd it.
yeah, they were claiming there and were dumping before the people on Ronin could claim, and so it caused a whole bunch of hoopla, which sucks because like I joined it as a pretty late advisor, and it was mainly for just like advising on like gaming prediction markets and stuff like that. And like I really like Chris, and the community gaming team is like made they've done good by like Ronin community and at least just like crypto, and like coming from esports, and like dude, I used to have to wait weeks to get paid out for tournaments or longer. Like even like the off the grid tournament took me like months, and like it's just like obviously that was a bigger payout, but still like it's just interesting as a gamer and esports competitor, like to go onto a platform, play a tournament, and instantly get paid out, and it all be like traceable. So yeah, I mean, I just have always liked community gaming in general. So hopefully Forecast does well. I think prediction markets are very cool. That's why I worked out the deal, and I think that like it'll be interesting to see if it gets a lot of love or not, or like if people have fun with it, because I do think it's cool.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. It feels like a brutal time to do launches, man. Like I saw the B3 token.
So weird.
Yeah, like the B3.fun, the base L3. Game 7, they just did their token.
They got destroyed.
CGX just did their token. And I'm looking at all the charts, and they all have that pretty same, just like, hey, we airdropped value to a bunch of people. They all sold immediately, and now we're down 50 to 80%.
I mean, who's holding an airdrop in the market?
Well, I understand. Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know who's at fault. And I do look at some of these tokens and go like, dude, you're only 20% unlocked from your circulating supply. There's still so much inflation to come. Like so many of these tokens that I want to be bullish on because I either like the concept, I like the team, I want to work there, whatever else. I just look at the numbers and kind of go, it's not fucking 2021 anymore, gang. I don't know that these tokenomics are going to work. And I can't tell if I'm a hater or if there's something I'm missing. I mean, G7 has recovered a little bit. It's on chain, so anybody can see it if they look. But I, for the first time, fucked myself trying to buy G7 out of the DEX pool. It was low on liquidity, and I tried to swap $2,000, and I ate like an 80% ARB fee. And dog, I lit like $1,800 on fire for nothing. And I did. It was on was it Grail or whatever, Camelot, and I went back and looked. I'm like, okay, there was a disclaimer, but it wasn't red and it wasn't that big, and you had to click on it. I'm like, I wish it would have yelled at me that I was about to
Yeah.
light money on fire. So I just, you got to be so careful. And I even did the math to check if I had the token price right, and I was missing a zero. That was how I messed it up. So
Oh.
it was one of those, like, I was like, all right, this is pretty close. And then I went back and looked. I'm like, oh, that's only 2 zeros. Oh, shit. Oh,
No.
no. So I'm just going to disclose my noob play. You can,
Happens to
no
the
matter
best of
how
us.
many transactions you do, man, you can still get caught with
You
those
gotta be
little,
careful.
you
You
know.
gotta make sure you're not tired before doing transactions
Right.
too. That's where I always mess up.
100% on me, dude.
Agree.
Bought a new bong sitting there at 11 p.m. Just like, oh, I'm gonna buy the bottom on this. Yeah, bought the bottom on my own reality. That's what
Yeah,
happened there.
to the TGE talk, I just, as much as I love Web3 gaming, and as much as I love all the innovations that we're seeing and like people are working towards, I mean, TGEs for gaming and everything related have just been down only lately. And it's just, for gaming specifically, I know so many people are just looking at like the off the grid launch and waiting to see if that token does good. And then if it does, then we might get some bullish sentiment back on like VCs wanting to pump some money back into the space. Or if it does bad, it's going to be a while before we see. I mean, people are looking at off the grid. It's like if off the grid can't do good, then like what will? And like it is a rational thought. And so I don't know. I mean, the whole thing with like you look at even like the most like notorious brands out there, like Pudgy Penguins, they're down like 85% from TGE, and it's just like I'm pretty sure I literally after paying taxes, I'm going to lose money on that airdrop, and like
I feel
it's
that. Been there.
just shitty, man. Like it's just like the space that we're in is just so it's just so hard to navigate and do like getting people to hold. Like it's just so hard whenever the market's not doing good. Like why? Like everybody just wants to realize whatever they can out of this market, and I don't know. It's just everything's so fucking PvP right now, and it probably is because of meme coins. And I think that like we've sped up like everyone's expectations and like their attention span have just sped up so much. And
did you didn't do a token on Tama Mart, did you? Or
no, so the only thing that I did a test token on Tama Mart on like day like 3 or whatever. I was testing it out because we were going to launch a guild coin for my guild, and then after launching the test one and seeing just like how liquidity is on the network for memes, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna wait like a while for this.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I think that like like it was literally just like a like legitimate just a test. Like I told everyone before, I'm like, this is literally a test. Don't go buy it. I'm just seeing how all this works. And then I like airdropped like all the supply that I had for it. And for like I love the platform. I love trading memes on Tama. I love like Moku team's doing really good. But like for now, because I have a lot of ideas for like what I want to do for a token for my guild specifically. Like I have a lot of stuff I want to do with like we're like developing games for Founders Coin holders only, and like rewards could be, the Moss token or the Ego token or whatever we decide to name it if we did it. But I need there to be more liquidity going around, because like right now it's like everything that gets made that does good, it's just pulling liquidity from one of the main tokens, and then that's just worsening our chances of doing good. Like everybody wants to go in PvP on all these low market cap tokens, get them to bond, and then make their token be the runner. And the problem with that is like we need to pick one and send it, and then that gets attention. And
couldn't agree more. Yeah, and it's like it's been sad to see some people go mask off in terms of overpromising or engaging in PvP that just seems a little bit too self-serving is maybe a way to say it. I've been encouraging everyone, like, bro, have a fucking plan. Don't just rush in there. And it's almost like a curse to run up to, a multi-million-dollar market cap, because there's just no way to sustain it right now unless you've really got some huge gusto, or you want to inject a boatload of your own liquidity into it. Even ones that have been really supply crunched have struggled to do it. So I think the Zyori market cap is like 28K right now. And in some ways it's a little sad. And in other ways I'm like, it's low stress. We're chugging along. We're up a little bit over the last week, and that's good enough for me. And I like that. I feel like a micro influencer again. If that thing had a $3 million market cap, I'd be waking up every day sweating bullets about, like, what do we do? What do we do? How do we maintain it? I got to go live. I'd start doing toilet streams or some dumb shit. So it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time, especially if you don't really have a plan and you're just selling hype.
I think people just see dollar signs and they just
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't know. I I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to comment on that part.
No, it's
It's just
hard.
hard.
Yeah, it's totally hard. But my little bit of alpha is I do want to use my token holders as like kind of recipients for an NFT drop. I've been thinking about how to do a Zyori NFT collection, and I really don't want to sell one. I don't like the idea of like trying to sell pictures of myself. It just seems too egotistical and stupid, especially if they're not connected to anything. But I'm still obsessed with these DN404s, and because they need a liquidity pool to have the swapping and the dynamic burning, I think I'm probably just going to airdrop them. Just do some tight supply thing, less than 1,000, airdrop half, throw half in the liquidity pool, and see what happens. You know, maybe like one Ron to do like the swap to burn and mint, and just show people that there's this cool tech that's totally underutilized, and
Cool.
kind of do like a fair launch NFT thing. So I'm still modeling it out, but I might do another like micro token airdrop campaign that's sort of like a diamond hands, and you know, anyone that buys and holds is sort of on the list for a lottery to get the airdrop or something. I don't know. I'm always looking for ways to gamify stuff and kind of make it fun and not just do cash grabs. That feels so
Experimenting
lowbrow and silly.
is important, and I think that like just be careful on like for other people. This isn't for you. I'm just saying like people are just like airdropping way too much and not realizing that like it's just gonna hurt you. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Think about who you're airdropping to. That's why I airdropped a lot of folks that don't use Ronin yet, like punk holders, where I'm like, I want you to come to Ronin. You know, like Donald Trump's wallet. It's EVM. He could come sell that shit at any time, but to do that, he'd have to come to Ronin. So I used my airdrop as an excuse to kind of lock up some tokens, but they're not like burned. And I thought that was a cool middle ground where you're right. Some folks are just, it's you're stepping on a landmine if you give out too much too quickly to too many folks that just want to sell it for the $5 or whatever. And that's sad but true. So
just in a weird state. I mean, like the thing is, like Ronin's. I haven't looked. I'm assuming market cap for Ronin's like around 500, 600 million. And
that sounds about right.
yeah, and if we're anywhere around there, like I'm pretty sure most meme coins that are like the top of the top runners are like 20% of the market cap of the network.
620 mil.
So 620 mil. So 120 mil would be like our like Pico. Like if we had crazy hype, everything was going right for a coin, and everyone was.
I'm sorry, 760. I read the wrong number. Still close, but yeah, 760.
760 is better than I thought we were. But that okay. So 150 mil market cap is like what a meme coin could, like realistically run to if everything was going right and everyone was coming in and putting money into it, and like that's still not
the
much,
biggest. Right.
And so like we're nowhere near. Like we're like you look at, but that's like what like a still like a 20x for the top runner right now, and like we're so far from that, and we need people to believe, and we need liquidity to come in. We need Sky Mavis to top blast some of this shit so people believe. And I don't know. It's a lot of opinions.
We need someone to do a deep dive on the Cardano ecosystem. We need Peter Pan to go deep on Cardano and figure out what their magic sauce is. I've been to multiple Cardano conferences, and there is something like they are so good at sucking in these relatively normal people that really don't know that much about crypto. They don't know that much about the tech. They just know that Cardano is innovating on future financial tech, and that it's awesome, and that if they don't get in, they're going to get left behind and miss out on the free money.
I couldn't tell if you're being sarcastic.
No, I'm serious. And it's like, I don't believe in Cardano at all. I don't. I think Charles creeps me out. I've seen him speak so many times. I've waved at him in person, and something about him just I don't know. It's just not my guy.
My IRL friends that are like that buy crypto on like Coinbase or whatever.
They
it's
love
weird,
Cardano.
Like two out of every three of them are like, dude, Cardano's a slow cook, but it's good.
That's what I'm saying. So what is it? So like it's just for 3 years ago I was like, all right, this is just a fad. Like the truth will be told. Cardano's gonna come up and come down.
Same thing with XRP. Why do people like XRP? Nobody knows.
Well, so I still can't figure that. I saw that PDB poll, and like I think some of it is because normal people understand banks better than they do crypto, and being like, oh, this is the bank token. They're like centralization maxis would love XRP, so I I can at least see the archetype of person that they're attracting to. And it's also a great high level slogan to say, Swift does however many trillions in transactions. That's what we're trying to replace. We want to use XRP instead of Swift to do international wire transfers. It's like, all right, that's a really big addressable market. Whether or not they can do that doesn't matter as much as that's a really great elevator pitch to a normal person. So I XRP, I at least see it. I can see the path. I still don't really see the path to Cardano. You know, when you go to the conference and you actually talk to people, they're like, it's pretty hard to build games here. It's pretty hard to do stuff here.
I've been to one Cardano conference, and it was Rare Evo. And Rare Evo guys are great. They've been very nice to me, ever since I've known them. But just like Cardano itself was just very unimpressive.
But how did they keep getting so much mind share? Their token price has been healthy. They've maintained this spot.
It's weird.
Top
Like
15,
I don't
top
hear
10.
about. The only time I hear about Cardano on Twitter or anything else is just when people are.
That's because they're marketing to normies, dude. And all the people that like I've talked to at Rare Evo that are Cardano bulls, they're like, yeah, I don't really use Twitter. I remember that one guy who was wearing overalls. Dude. He's like, yeah, I'm a plumber. You know, I heard about it on a podcast and I just wanted to come check it out. I'm like, how the fuck? How did they find this guy and then get his ass to buy a ticket to the conference and actually show up? There is some secret sauce there. And I've been trying to distill it, and I really don't know what it is. I mean, I guess Charles is a really good marketer, but there's something from that playbook that we should copy, because I don't believe Cardano is better than Ronin, but it has big number. And
I think this was something that I can't remember who I saw from Twitter, but they were talking about like Dala and a couple other things that are
their market cap is mind blowing.
Like, I don't know. I just, the more I think about it, it's just like I'm just in a bubble, and I think we all are. We're all just in our own
just
little
embrace
bubbles.
the bubble. Yeah.
And just, you don't hear about everything that's going on, and those people in their bubbles, they probably don't hear about what's going on in ours, and how it is.
Yeah. But somehow their bubble is way bigger than ours. So, yeah, I got to figure out what we can carbon copy out of that. But no, man, this has been a great chat. Very much appreciate your time. Now that I'm looking around for gigs, just trying to continue the content grind, keep having good conversations, spread the good word about Ronin, pump the bags, as they say. But I think there's always more interesting stuff to discuss than just price action, at least if you're looking at the right products. Anything else you want to talk about? Get off your chest, chill. Any streams or anything cool coming up, or any plea to the broader Ronin community we need to clip? Anything you want me to say at the Kongs event at ETH Denver on your behalf? I can bring a megaphone. On behalf of Lord Kyroh, pump the Genkai.
Yo, shout out to CyberKongs. I love the CyberKongs community. Hope you have fun at ETH Denver. I wish I could go.
Yeah, man, it'd be good to see you.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything. I mean, really, I'm locked in. I'm grinding. I'm trying to like work out like how to change content and figure out how to like. I just want to build a YouTube. Like that's really what I want to do. And like I wanted to do it for like years now, but like it's just so hard to figure out like an angle to do it at, especially like with how high the ceiling is for like viewership and stuff in Web3. Like
totally,
it's just hard. And so like that's kind of like what I'm in the lab working on at the moment and trying to figure out things for, because like I can make a ton of review videos or whatever on Twitter and do that all day every day. Like I've done that for the past like year and a half, 2 years now, and it works great for me. Like I've carved out a niche for myself, but like I just don't want to only be on Twitter, and that's kind of like where I'm at. At the moment.
Now that you're an IRL holder of cute Asian girl, maybe you need to start delving into the.
I'm actually not anymore.
No? Oh no.
I'm not to flood anyone's bags here, but I'm just that's one that you know what? Fuck it. I'll be candid. I'm just like not a fan of that meme. I think that like,
I meant more that you're in a relationship, and I was more implying that you should start doing some like
I'm tired.
Some like real life content, you know, like you and the girl. Like if you want to do a YouTube, like I kept thinking like, how do you bring in some like real world, or like, you know, I keep thinking about BitBoy. He's like the best YouTuber for crypto I can think of, and he's totally unstable. But I'm just thinking like, you need some real life hook to really scale it into Normieville, you know, like that reality show or something.
Crypto YouTube is just like one that does really well. I think that like if you're not like as much of a gamer as like I am, like you can make a good YouTube out of like crypto content. Like you can see Orangey grew over
Yeah.
like 100K subs doing meme coins.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about like price action and shit and get a lot of attention. It's just like not what I want to do.
Right.
Like, uh, I don't know. I feel like I would be doing really well on the YouTube front if like play to earn and gaming was still like a big narrative. So maybe one day when that comes back around, things will swing more. The pendulum will swing back my way. Um, but until then, it's just at the moment I'm just grinding content, going to all the IRL events that make sense. Last year I traveled like every 3 weeks, so I'm trying
Ooh,
not to do that this year.
that's brutal,
Uh,
dude. I mean,
yeah,
it's
it is.
awesome, but that's like,
It is. It was awesome. I got to see so much of the world that I never thought I would ever get to see. So I'm very grateful and blessed for that. But like, after being on a plane that many times, like I'm happy. The last 2 months I've gotten to be at home. It's
yeah.
been really nice. So
I'm with that vibe as well. Not that I'm trying to slow down, but I have been trying to recalibrate and just make sure I don't get swept up in it again like I did in late 2021, early 2022. Awesome as it was, being manic for like 6 months straight was it definitely took a piece of my soul that I'm not sure that I'll ever get
yeah,
back. So trying to avoid that for sure. But
definitely.
yeah, keep it up, man. Super happy for you. I have a degree
Thank
in
you.
entrepreneurship, so I fucking love hearing these stories of people that get to own their own destiny. Like, you're kind of like a true rags to riches sort of guy where you just started doing this shit. You didn't necessarily have the full plan worked out, but you just navigated, played a heads up game, seized the opportunities as they came about, and just kept finding good things. And that's like, I feel like that's just a sick framework, man. And anytime people can realize that dream, it's what America's all about, man. This is it. This is capitalism at
I
its
mean,
finest.
I love my life. You know, trying to make a living in Web 2 is like, or at least for Web 2 esports,
A little
it's
soulless.
basically just asking to be broke.
Yeah.
And I now get to wake up. I mean, I have like people that I work under, but like I feel like I wake up in charge of my life every day and I get to do what I want and I get to make my schedule and I get to be me. And
It's
I I went through a heavy bout of depression whenever like I was doing all the right things in esports and I just wasn't making money and I just wasn't able to like even when I was living in Kansas like Kansas is so cheap. I was like 2 bedroom apartment for like $600. Like I just was like not making enough money to sustain myself and like now I'm getting to live in New York and make enough money to like I just like not have to worry about buying $100 of groceries, which just
right.
feels so fucking amazing. And
Right.
so I don't know. I'm just really happy with how everything's gone, and I really want to make sure that I keep pushing. And yeah,
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate you taking notice of the hard work, and because it has been and like I said, it's almost been 4 years of just like every day being like before
Yeah.
the trenches were the trenches, like I was in the trenches, and
It's all
that's
uncertainty, man. Totally. It's
yeah,
like you had that feeling of I'm doing the right stuff, I'm doubling down, I'm improving, I feel it, like my soul food is there, but
yep.
my real life food is lacking. The
Yeah.
budgets are
No,
tight.
it was that was so that's so real because that's what it
Yeah.
was for so long for like
Yeah.
2 straight years from 2020 to 2022. It just like no matter what I was doing, no matter how many like right choices I felt like I was making, nothing was changing. And
Yeah.
yeah, luckily things have turned around.
Yeah, I hit that brick wall too, and then Sky Mavis showed up, and Psych Out said, "Hey, we're actually hiring for esports," and my brain went, "Holy shit, it's finally happening! The budding of a
Oh
new
yeah.
industry, LFG
It'll
baby,
it'll like I said, the pendulum swings both ways, and like
always."
the ebbs and flows they come and they go, and like it's like the highs are really good whenever you're in them, and then the lows are really bad when you're in them. And it's just, I don't know, like you said before, just trying to like bring yourself back to the equilibrium in those
Yeah.
moments.
Totally, man. Totally. All right, Kyroh. Well, always a pleasure. I'll let you get on with it, guys. Kyroh. You know where to find
Thank you.
him. Both of us with a Z or sorry, a Y is the second character. I love it, man. Our names
Yes.
are weirdly similar but different. R's and
Yeah.
O's and Y's. It's good shit, man. I've always felt a cosmic connection there. But yeah, we'll catch you at the next one. And as always, let me know if I can be of help in any way. But I'm kind of bored these days, so if I can be useful to you, hit me up.
Well,
You
thank you
know it.
for having me and would be glad to come back whenever, man. Thank you.
Totally. All right,
See ya.
cool.